Well, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of The Influential Educator. My name is Edward Gordon,
My name's Kerry Martin.
and we are so glad to be with you this afternoon. And I just want to share a little bit about myself. I am a 20 plus year veteran in education. I served as a teacher as well as a school principal in several urban school districts in New Jersey as well in the city of Philadelphia. And just have a great opportunity right now to, as a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, to coach and mentor aspiring and current school leaders in helping them to be effective and make the great impact for the students and teachers that they serve. So I'm grateful to be here this afternoon.
My name's Kerry Martin. I am a learning strategist and also a personal growth coach. So I've worked in education in the different roles of mentor, teacher, head of department, academic coach, learning strategist over the last 20 so years. And one of the main areas of focus for me is really helping students and educators to be strategic about their learning and the way in which they engage with education, but also at the same time focusing on how to help individuals to find their purpose and to live in a purposeful way.
Yes. So the past episodes, we've talked about career growth. We talked about making an impact. We talked about balance. And I'm excited about this conversation that we're going to have today, Carrie, around connection. And we just wanted to start off by hearing from you. What are some of the key relationships you think educators need to be investing in?
I think really the thing about educational institutions is that there's so many different partners that we're working with. In a school environment, clearly you're always thinking about your key partners being your parents, the students themselves, obviously your administration, your peers as other teachers. But I think we have to start thinking a little bit bigger than that in terms of who are our community partners? Who are the people who we can be bringing into our schools, into our classrooms? Who are the individuals who maybe even if you don't bring them into the classroom can have some say about the way in which you're delivering your curriculum? But even for me, working also in post-secondary in terms of colleges and universities, for me, I'm always maintaining relationships with other service areas. So looking at working with counselors, looking at careers advisors, looking at anyone who has any impact on academic advising. I think ultimately we need to be connected to the people that our students are going to be connected to. And the reality is that in whether it's a school, whether it's a college, whether it's a university, our students are not just going to be connected to their teachers. They're going to be connected to all kinds of different areas, staff members, faculty members. And if they're connected to them, then I would argue that we also need to be connected to them so that we're aligning our messages and we're consistent in what we're bringing across to the students we're working with.
Yes,
What about
yes.
yourself?
I totally agree with everything you have mentioned. And as I work with other educators as well as school leaders, I always think about them and talk to them about the stakeholders. And you have clearly mentioned them all, starting from our students, the teachers, other administrators in the building, staff members, parents, community, partnerships, board members. All of those are important relationships that you have to invest in. Okay. When you're an educator, it's just not about you developing a relationship with just the students, but there are others that you need to learn about, invest in, and develop strong relationships. And that's going to be key uh, as you're developing your career and also having a greater impact within the classroom as well as outside of your school presence. So I am in total agreement with you that everyone needs to understand all the stakeholders that are involved in education and seek ways to connect with all of them. And it just makes me think about, some things in terms of my experiences, what has been beneficial for or me to connect with some of the stakeholders outside of the school building. Okay. And I'm just thinking about one of the lessons that I learned from Dr. Ivan Misner, who is the founder of the Business Network International. And I learned a strategy entitled or called the 24/7/30 rule. So yes, as a school principal, I remember going to different events and meeting other school leaders and community members. But after that, implementing this 24/7 rule. And what happens with that is when you go to these events, and within 24 hours after you meet someone, connect with them, sending them an email. Sometimes I did handwritten notes to them and sent it in the mail, just saying, thank you. It was a great opportunity to connect with you at the event or the meeting or the conference that I attended. And then the next part, within 7 days, um, look them up. Now with social media, they're on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. Make those connections, become their friends, become followers of their work on those social media platforms. And I do that within 7 days. And then the last part of it, in within 30 days, reaching back by a phone call, just saying, "Hello, my name is Edward Gordon. I met you at the ASCD conference," and just making those connections, but not with the impression and also just want to learn more about them, and also how we can work together to support each other. What is some information that they know about leadership, about schools, that can be helpful to me, and also what are some things based on the conversation and resources that I have that can help them. And that is what I implement and has been very beneficial, that 24/7/30 rule. How about you? What networking strategies have you been able to implement with success?
I love that, by the way. I really like that approach. It's a good reminder. And I think related to that, I think really in terms of networking, it's about first of all just following through on, you go to conferences, you go to meetings, and you meet new people, and you may mention a strategy you're using or a particular approach you're using in your education profession. And then sometimes we'll say, oh yeah, I'll follow up with you on that, and then we don't. And then what ends up happening is that you forget the nature of the conversation, you may forget the person, or they may forget you. But I think beyond that, I think it's really trying to see value in the relationship, regardless of what you may think you can get out of it. And understanding that it's not just about, okay, I'm a science teacher, you're a science teacher, hey, we can connect. There may be opportunities for me as a science teacher to connect with a drama teacher. Because even though there may not necessarily be a very clear alignment between the type of delivery that I'm offering compared to the type of delivery that a drama teacher is offering, I may want to speak to that drama teacher at a later point. For example, if I have a group of students who are doing some kind of an oral presentation on an experiment they've done, what are some of the strategies I can use to coach my students to project their voice effectively, to engage well with their audience? So I think it's just trying to play a long-term game and not being selfish with our networking, where we only talk to those who we can get something out of. But just trying to look at it from a mutually beneficial situation where you never know where that connection could lead or what could actually come from that. So thinking about that, if an educator wants to improve how they connect with their peers, with families, with other students, what are some of the suggestions you would offer them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And when I think about that, the first part of it is around listening. So people want to be heard, and there's different challenges, there's different ideas that they have, but you uh, first making that connection by just listening to your students, listening to your teachers, and all the stakeholders that we talked about in the beginning part of this conversation. I think that's key. Then the next part of it is validating what they're saying. And there are some feelings that they have about what's being taught. The parents have some feelings and things that they want to express in terms of some concerns. But being that person, after you listen to, validate what they have to say, and that's really key in terms of the fact that for every part of the level of stakeholders that we are talking about, that someone is listening to us, they understand our challenges are. And I think the next part of it, after you hear it, is taking the opportunity to learn more about what's happening, those challenges, there may be the challenges that the students are facing within the classrooms, challenges that teachers are facing, um, some concerns and some issues and challenges that parents are facing. Learn more about it. As a teacher, as a school leader, you're not going to know everything. And once something's brought to your attention, taking that opportunity to actually learn more about it. And I think the final piece is that people are going to see that connection is when you taking time to listen, you validate what they have to say, you're learning more about the situation, but then you're acting upon it. Okay. When
Mm.
people see that I have someone that I can talk to and that they're actually going to do something about it, I believe that just strengthens the relationships and the connection for all of your stakeholder groups. What are your thoughts about how educators can improve their connection with others?
Three words: leave the classroom. And by that I mean, I know of teachers that when they enter the building, they head straight to the classroom and they eat their lunch in the classroom. They do their grading in the classroom. Then at the end of the day, they leave the classroom, and then the cycle continues. And I
Mhm.
think the reality is that obviously within the classroom setting, you may have students that are coming in, you may have parents that are coming in, you may have peers that are coming in. But just the fact that it's just limited to that particular setting, there are certain norms and cultures that come about just being within that environment. Whereas I think that, some of my most meaningful connection points have just been walking down the hallway and just commenting on something that a student is doing. I like your bag, where did you get that from? Tell me about your weekend. How did you do in the game last? Just to be able to just have just human conversations and interactions in the same way, being outside the building, going for a walk at lunchtime, having your lunch outside. Sound as strange as it sounds, sometimes we want to get away from the students, but I think some of those things, it humanizes us as educators. And the same goes for us working with peers. While we are professional colleagues, we can still interact in different ways. We can still take an interest in one another. And I think when we do that, when we get into those professional communications, there's a different level of connection now, because it's not just within the parameters of just the professional conduct, but now we're able to kind of see some of the intricacies. How do I interact with that type of person? How are they different in a different environment? And then finally, the same with parents, with family members, with significant others of students. Again, just to be in a situation where you're able to be authentic in the way in which you interact with them. I think that I often said to some of my students that, you guys really believe that I just literally just unplug myself from the classroom closet and I just turn up and I just switch on like a robot. I do. You will see me at the grocery store. You will see me with my kids in the park. I do have headaches. I do get sick. Guess what? I watched the same game that you guys watched last night. And I think just to humanize that, I just think that when everybody has an understanding of the fact that we are more than just professionals, I think that we have a level of communication and connection which is more authentic and is richer and can lead to better results in the professional realm ultimately.
Yes. I just want to go back to the point that you were making about the fact that as educators, doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a school administrator or a superintendent, college professor, we're human. Okay.
Yeah.
We have lives, busy lives. We're juggling and balancing a family life, some personal growth that we want to go through, as well as our professions. And just wanted to think about that situation about and something that we can share with our audience. Uh, with our busy lives, how can we connect and stay connected with others that will be able to move us to the next level and also improve ourselves? What are your thoughts about that?
So I think it kind of goes back to something that we talked about in one of the previous videos when we were looking at the idea of balance and really trying to create meaningful space for us to be able to connect with one another, that we don't have to be continually on the clock. And I think that education is one of those interesting professions where if you really wanted to work 24/7, 365 days a year, there's
Mm-hmm.
stuff for you to do. There will always be more grading. There'll be more curriculum development. There'll be ways to be more innovative with the classes that you're putting on. There'll be different ways of interacting, more research to read. There's always something. So I think it's about really trying to create space, meaningful, intentional space that say, okay, this is really my time just to hang out. This is my time to connect with people. This is my time to, shoot some networking emails. Even that I think is something that, we have to be intentional about, that we can even look at, one afternoon per month. I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to connect with colleagues from other schools, from other colleges, from other universities. I'm here in Canada. I've worked in the UK. You're in the States. We should be able to say, okay, you know what? Once a month, Edward, you and I are going to get together, and we're just going to talk about what we did this last month. What were some of the things that you're seeing? How is education being administered where you are? What are some of the trends you're noticing? Getting together as a group, just informally. It doesn't have to be like a set meeting with an agenda, but just to say, you know what, each month on a Friday, the last Friday of the month, we're going to get together for 30 minutes, an hour, just to connect. And the thing about it is it kind of goes back to this idea of multiplication, that sometimes we think, okay, it's an hour, I don't have an hour. But what could come from that hour's conversation could save you time down the road, because now I've realized that, yeah, Edward's got a different way of dealing with, social emotional education, and he's got this really unique program or this really unique technique. I need to tap into that because I was going to spend the next weekend planning a new curriculum. Edward's got it. So I think we have to kind of change the way in which we think about connection, and we have to be intentional about it. It shouldn't be accidental. It shouldn't be just, oh, if it happens, it happens. But to be really deliberate and intentional about the benefits of connecting with other people and networking. What about you?
Yeah. When you were talking about change the way that we think about connection, and first thing that came to my mind is about being in a group with like-minded individuals. And I want everyone to understand that there are others worldwide that are interested in being the best, doing the best for students, being the best for the teachers and school communities. And it's just a matter of seeking out those like-minded individuals and coming together. And as a mentor in the state of New Jersey, for principals, once a month is a part of the requirement for the first and second year principals that they are part of a peer group. So it's a
Mm,
meeting, hour, an hour and a half once a month, where the different school leaders that were the mentors are mentoring are there and just sharing what they're going through, and also just putting on the table what are the challenges, what is a situation that are going that they are coming up on, and just listening to their peers who are also first and second year administrators sharing how they're handling something. I mean, right now the big topic right now is the reentry of our students into schools in the state of New Jersey, and just having ongoing conversations about that, and hearing other ideas about how to properly communicate with the parents, how to set up their buildings, their classrooms to meet the needs of the students during this reentry at this period of time. And that has definitely been beneficial. Another thing that I think about is also having a like-minded group that you could have as based on like an accountability group as well, where you are sharing what you're working on, and everyone is able to share that, but also each of you are holding each other accountable. Okay, if you're saying that you're going to get something done in a week or two, that other members in the accountability group, when you come back together, they're going to say, Carrie Martin, did you get this done? Okay, and also not only when the times that you're meeting, but also when you're exchanging cell phone numbers and emails that you can text each other and say, Carrie, you said you're going to do A, B, and C by Friday. Is it done? So those type of messaging is definitely going to be beneficial. And I would say that all educators, the teachers as well as administrators, superintendents, you need to be a part of those groups, and that's how you get better. You talk about that multiplication. When you're doing things in isolation, you only go so far. But when you are in a like-minded group with other professionals that are sharing ideas and ways and resources as well, helps you out. I saw on a platform someone was looking for some ideas for a 90-day plan in terms of how to enter a school building. When you're able to share those type of resources with others, it speeds up the process. Yes, you have to tweak it and make it work for your building, your district, and information and data, but at least you have somewhere to start, and that's better than starting from ground zero. So those are some interesting things I've seen, and it definitely have been beneficial. And I would definitely recommend for all educators to be a part of those type of networking opportunities.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I would say that it's interesting that as educators, we work in buildings with hundreds and sometimes thousands of other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, there are some university campuses that literally have, hundreds of thousands of students on campus, in addition to faculty and staff and coaches and counselors. But yet, education can be an incredibly lonely profession because ultimately, when the door of the classroom closes, it really is on you to run the show. And you may not have the opportunity to get input, to get feedback. And yes, we do have, professional development opportunities, and we do have, staff and faculty meetings. But in terms of just being able to connect, just to be able to say, man, it's May and we're coming to the end of the year and I am exhausted. How do I get this year finished? How do I finish strong? And then to have someone like yourself able to come and say, you know what, these are the things that I'm doing to get myself through, and this is what's really helped me. This is what's really motivating me right now. Just to be able to hear that, to have an authentic conversation that goes beyond, curriculum and standards, to be able to be real with people is incredibly valuable. And I think even an example I think of is that I work in post-secondary, and I know that we've seen that a number of students coming in from high school, they're struggling to make the transition. There is a huge gap between high school and starting at college and university. And a lot of students who are getting A's in high school are coming in and they're starting off getting D's and C's, and it's really difficult for them to process that. Now, I can have theories about how we can address that. How can we better prepare these students when they're coming into our institution to be equipped to thrive? But isn't it better that I can turn to someone who's working in a high school and say, hey, tell me what's going on in grade 12? What are some of the conversations you're having with students? What are they talking about? What are their fears? What are their skills? What are their learning strategies where maybe they need some work? Is there anything that we can be doing in that interim between the end of high school in June or July and the start of college or university, September, October? What can we be doing? Now, I can use some guesswork, but now if I've got a connection, I can really get some insight. Or, if I'm going for a job, and I'm going for a job in a school, and I know I've got to sit down with the principal. Wouldn't it be good to sit down with Principal Gordon and say, hey, Principal Gordon, look, I'm not coming to your school, but can you tell me a bit about what you would be looking for? What are some of the key phrases and buzzwords you're interested in? That's when we see that power of multiplication and collaboration, because now we're getting inside insights into what's going on. And again, you can come to me and say, okay, Kerry, what's going on in post-secondary? How are these students doing? So I think this is the benefit of connection and networking. And this is why even conversations like this between you and I are so valuable, because between us, we've got nearly 40 years of experience from elementary school all the way to postgraduate level of education. That's
Yes.
valuable. And that's just two of us. Imagine if it was a room of, 5, 10, 15, 20 people, 100 people, and we're just collaborating. Imagine what that would do for each of us.
Yes. And as you were talking, I just My smile got bigger, got more excited because of the work that will be happening with the influential educator. We're setting up this community, this family, this network that is going to be all about connections, but people with different levels of experience in education, different roles in education coming together to be able to share their ideas, share their challenges, and to receive mentoring and support to be able to move them to the next level. And that's why you were just talking. I was getting excited about uh, what is about to happen in terms of this influential educator mentoring program, and also the resources that will be available to educators all globally. And that is just wonderful. And we talked before our previous conversations about career growth and really helping educators move and develop their career. We talked about making an impact within the classroom and beyond the four walls of
Mhm.
their classroom and their school, and also some of those personal challenges that we have around balancing everything that comes at us, personally as well as professionally. And now, we have this uh, network full of connections to be able to provide these resources and have these conversations around that to help many educators get where they want to be in education. So I'm excited about our work together and how we're going to influence many educators globally. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree. And one of the exciting things for me is that when we use the term educator, we're not just talking about those that are classified or designated as teachers. We're talking about anyone who is in the education profession who is having direct contact with students. So we're talking about elementary teachers, high school, middle school, college, university. We're talking about learning strategists, academic coaches. We're talking about guidance counselors. We're talking about sports coaches. We're talking about teaching assistants. We're talking about peer mentors. All of these individuals play a role in this beautiful network that we call education. And we really want an opportunity for all of us to come in together as a community and to share our insights, because all of us can share a different perspective, a different set of experiences that can add to the richness of our experiences. And it's that leads to us becoming influential in the field of education. So in terms of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be having, training, we're going to be having coaching, we're going to be having conversations like this. Importantly, we're going to be taking questions and answers, and we may be asking you questions, but the idea is it's all about collaboration. So this is going to be something we're going to be launching shortly, and we're going to be bringing all educators in. And certainly over the course of the mentoring, there'll be lots of opportunities for collaboration and greater connection throughout our time together. But certainly, we invite you to get involved. And the way you can get involved is you'll see just below where it says influentialeducator.com. If you go there, you can register. And that gives you all the information you need about what's involved in the mentoring program. We certainly invite you as individual educators to come on board. But certainly, let your administrators know about it. This is a great opportunity for both personal growth and professional growth. So we certainly really look forward to connecting with you and to continuing this conversation and growing this network.
Yes, and I just want everyone to understand that Carrie and I both are excited to work with all of you. And if there's any further questions as well, you can also email us at theinfluentialeducator@gmail.com, and we'll definitely respond. And if you leave your telephone number that's in the email, we'll definitely reach out to you. We just want you to understand that we are here to support you and to help you on your career growth, help you to make an impact in your schools, and providing opportunities for greater connection. So once again, this has been a great conversation, Carrie, and I'm excited to launch this program with you and also to help other educators make an impact in their classrooms and beyond. So once again, great conversation this afternoon.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, go to our website, www.influentialeducator.com. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.